Ladies and gentlemen, praise God. Welcome in. So good to be with you. Well, if you take a look around America today, you're probably going to notice it's not going so well. And you could point to a whole bunch of different areas in America and say, that's not right. That's not good. We could do better here. Healthcare, our urban city decay, the deceit amongst our political leaders. We're not being told the truth. Our foreign wars, our out of control spending, the national debt, our consumer credit card debt. You could look at all of those things and say, it's not going well in America. And is it sustainable? Is $40 trillion in debt sustainable? Is 25% interest on a credit card that's maxed out? Is that sustainable for the American people? But see, America's built on debt. So it has to be sustained for those in power. And for us, it's the only way to survive. Very few people are able to maintain incredible credit card discipline. And that's why we have record credit card debt here in America. And again, we're America first, only forever from this point forward. This globalization, helping the world out of poverty, diminishing our dollar so we could uplift some tribe in Africa or somewhere in Southeast Asia, that has been done at the demise of the American dream, the American prosperity. Just go back 45 years ago. Moms weren't working full time. Salaries, one father's salary could cover a home, a car, a couple of kids, and things weren't maxed to the brim, stressed out all night, all day about the next bill. I'm not suggesting that the consumer doesn't have a responsibility in their choices, in their spending, and their lifestyles, but we've set the system up to where debt is required to continue the country at its current tempo. And so we hit a point in which there's no money left. Right? So you might look at that area of America and say, that's not going very well. You could look at other areas and say, well, look at our urban cities, look at our Black culture. Look at how they have rotted away 13% of the population committing 50% of the violent crimes here in America. And you must be saying, we've got to be able to do better than that, right? Don't the people in our urban cities, the good ones, the decent people, the ones that just want to live their lives and scratch out an earning, don't they deserve a better life? And of course they do. But we don't have anybody coming to call out the conduct, the misconduct, the foul conduct in our urban cities. In fact, we have the exact opposite. We have political leaders that want to support and sustain the status quo in urban America. And it's coming at the demise of the country. You cannot have a group of 13% of the country behaving, living in such an uncivilized, violent manner. It doesn't work, and it's not working in Black culture. It's not working in our inner cities. So you might look at that and say, it's not going well in America. You might look to our political leaders and ask yourself, when's the last time we got the truth? When's the last time we got the straight story from any political leader right now in government? Go 40 years back. When's the last time you can say, they're telling the truth, they're fighting for me, and they're going to deliver? It's not happening right now. Didn't happen under Joe Biden, didn't happen under Trump's first term. It's certainly not happening right now under this current term. You might say it's not going well in America. We seem to be spending all of our time in foreign wars. A $1.5 trillion military budget is the ask for 2027. And so you might ask yourself, well, geez, I wonder if there's any issues in America for 1.5 trillion per year that we could improve, enhance, or eliminate. Could you eliminate homelessness, drug addiction, poverty, abuse, prostitution, drug dealing? Could you eliminate all that with $1.5 trillion a year? And the answer is, of course you could, because we could build mental institutions. We can build hospitals. We can build more and more jails for those that just don't want to figure it out. We can do all that and have a lot left over with 1.5 trillion. You could hire as many cops as you want. Limitless numbers of cops and agents working the streets in which all of this is going on in LA, San Francisco, New York, Chicago, Baltimore, New Orleans, Memphis. I'm talking about our really rough places, drug infested, gang infested, violence overcoming communities. Do you think you could get rid of that for 1.5 trillion a year? And the answer is, of course you could. You could do anything you want in America for $1.5 trillion per year, but that's what they're going to ask for in this NDAA that is still being passed back and forth between Senate and the House. It also includes, of course, the merger with Israel, and that still sits on the Senate's docket to be addressed. You might look at all of those things we've mentioned and say, yeah, I think we could do better in America. And I also wonder if those things are not causing the decay and eventual collapse of a once great country. And you'd be right about that. But I think the biggest thing that has to stop in America today is the lying that comes from government, comes from media, and then is brainwashed the culture. The culture has never been more divided. You and I can see that in the most simple of conversations. If you dare mention the COVID shot and that it by any means hurt a person or somehow was not effective in stopping the transmission of COVID-19, which it's obviously clear it did not. Cleveland Clinic study, 51,000 cohorts. The more COVID shots you took, the more COVID you got, right? And we can't come to a consensus on that as a population. We're a democracy with supposedly two choices. And neither one of those choices are actually doing the will of the people. And I think that's clear. So let's go through some stuff that simply must be addressed, has to be dealt with, has to bring unity amongst the people, or you can forget it. There is no point in any of this stuff anymore. Paying taxes, voting, pretending like you can get ahead, buy a home, start a family. Don't need to worry about any of all that, because if the lying doesn't stop, you and I are toast. And we've been toast for some time. That's why our wives work full time. That's why we're stretched to the brim financially. That's why things are more stressful than ever. We're the most mentally ill country on the planet. The United States is. And of course, you know that, you see that. And it's not just in our homeless, drug abusing population. It's not just them. This is our everyday MAGA person and our everyday way out there on the left person that is willing to die on issues that mean nothing because they have a political hero that they are saying, I'll do and go for whatever this person says because that's where my faith is. So you know what you really have? You have a godlessness problem. Once God came out of the culture, go back to the 60s, can't teach God in school. Women become liberated. Abortion is now talk of the town. Everybody's doing them. Okay. That moment, you saw a very significant drop in the quality of morale, in the quality of ethics, in the amount of violence that we've seen, and the amount of corruption in government that we've seen. That all has been starting and going and ticking, and here it is. It's right in our face now with serious repercussions for the, quite frankly, abandonment of duty from our political leaders. And we, the people, are just as guilty. The founding fathers said, vigilance. We have to be vigilant if you want to protect your freedom. And we haven't been doing that. We've fallen asleep at the wheel. We've said, I'm sure these guys have our best interest in mind. And as it turns out, none of them have our best interest in mind. Name a politician who does what he says, follows through, and then comes back to we the people and says, what do you want done next? Because I work for you. We forgot that they are our employee. We forgot that we pay their salary. We forgot that we own the country, right? We need to remember that. And it's not Democrat and Republicans that we're trying to, no. We the people versus a government that has grown out of control, that has spent out of control, and is now lying their way out of any accountability to anything that they do. We have the Iran war is a wonderful one to look at. I want to touch on that before we get into some, how do we change the trajectory? Major course correction, 911 here in America. And that's our only singular focus. We don't care what's going on in India or China or Israel or Ukraine or Iran. None of those things matter when your own people are suffering to the degree that ours are. Okay. So if you look at the Iran war, of course, February 28th, we bombed the kill the Ayatollah. It's a surprise attack. We bombed the schoolgirls, 186 dead. Right? This war was advertised as being done in 2 days. And if you remember the famous lines, Donald Trump says their navy is at the bottom of the sea. We've obliterated their army. We've obliterated their nuclear ambitions. He declared victory just 2 days in. And of course, that wasn't true. We went back and forth. And 4 weeks in, we declared victory. This thing is over. We've got a deal signed. We just need to get the pen over to Pakistan. JD's on his way. This thing is done. We were told that 4 weeks in. We've seen gas prices kind of move the whole way. Notice how oil is going down. Gas prices still $4.11, $4.20 all over the country. Why is that? Why is that happening? We talk about that too. But we've been told for many months now that this war is over, that Iran is begging for a deal, that they have no more abilities militarily. They've been set back decades, but yet they're still fighting. Yet they still have closed the Strait of Hormuz. It is closed, even though President Trump will talk all the time that there's business happening in the Strait of Hormuz, negotiations as well as commerce. That's not true. Prior to February 28th, the Strait of Hormuz would see between 100 and 140 vessels per day cross that with safe passage. Post February 28th, okay, that number is 6 in, 6 out. That's on a daily basis. They're carrying oil, fertilizer, energy resources. That's all they're doing in the Strait of Hormuz. There's no cruises going on. We're not shipping fruit through there. This is energy, and it's come to a standstill in the Strait of Hormuz. And so that's the leverage piece for Iran. Trump was told that that would be used as leverage if you were to ever attack Iran. They went for it anyways. On the behalf of Israel, we owed them apparently the $18 billion a year that they get, the military resources that they get, we got your back in everything you get yourself into. That wasn't enough. We still owed them Iran. And Trump bought that one hook, line, and now sinking the country as a result, because it feels much more like a forever war than it does a 2-week or a 4-week war. That this was one, done, signing the deal, we're out of there. Thank me later. We've saved the world from Iran having a nuclear weapon.
The Matthew Dark Show, your one-stop show for truth, courage, fellowship, and faith. Available everywhere you get your podcasts.